All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome Rory McIlroy to the interview room at the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. Rory, this is your first return since 2018. You have great history here. In 2012, you held off Tiger Woods to win the event and ascend to #1 in the world for the first time. Can you just take us back to those memories and how special of a day that was?
I remember having a chance to get to world #1 the week previous at the World Match Play in Tucson. Hunter Mayhem beat me in the final, and then I was pretty motivated. I don't know if I quite needed to win to get to world #1 that week, but I was pretty motivated to try to get the job done, seeing that I missed out on an opportunity the week prior. So, yeah, it was a great week. It was just, I was renting a place here. I hadn't bought a place here yet, so I was sort of still figuring out the area. But obviously it's become a place that I call home now. So always nice to, I guess, achieve a lifelong ambition. And, I remember Tiger making that charge on the Sunday and then sort of just having to hold on those last 5 holes. I made 2 really good up and downs on 15 and 17. And it was a really cool moment, and can't believe it's 12 years ago, but here we are.
And this is your 3rd start this season. You've had a chance to play Pebble and Genesis. Can you share where your game is right now and what you're looking toward this week?
Yeah, so 3rd start in the PGA Tour. I had 2 events on in the Middle East and played well in Dubai. I feel like Pebble was just a bit of a, the weather disrupted it, and the courses were super soft, and it was won the Pro-Am portion, so I guess it wasn't all bad. And then Riv was pretty good. I made a mess of 15 and 16 on the first day, but apart from that, I felt like I played some pretty good golf. So I feel like my game's in pretty good shape, and it's nice to stay at home this week and feel a little more, relaxed in the surroundings. So looking forward to getting started.
We'll turn it to questions. Craig, we'll start with you.
Roy, there was a thought a few years back that perhaps the Champion course was becoming too difficult for the players in terms of what they wanted to play this time of year with the rough and all the other things. Does it seem like they have taken steps to kind of soften the course a little bit the last few years?
Yeah, I can't speak to the last few years, but especially this year, it's a lot more benign of a setup. The rough's been cut back. There's been a couple of bunkers taken out in certain spots. The greens are soft at the minute. I'd like to think that they'll get a little bit firmer as the week goes on. But yeah, it's a, maybe not quite the test that it was 10 years ago. It's still, you got to hit the shots, and all the hazards are still in the same places. But it's just, the rough isn't quite as penal, and it seems right now that they're keeping the greens, a little softer. I think it's just 6, that right bunker. So it gives you a little bit of a bail out on the right there into those sort of moguls over in the right rough.
Paul, PGA Tour.
Hey Rory, obviously long history at this event, but haven't played it the last couple of years. What compelled you to return this year?
So I think the date and the schedule was a big thing, having that week in between the West Coast swing and starting in Florida. So that was a big part of it. And I think as well, the field the tournament has struggled to attract a really strong field here the last number of years. And then with, a new sponsor coming in Cognizant, I thought, it would be a good time to step up and show some support for the tournament.
At this point in your career, how do you define a successful season?
I don't know. I guess it comes down to wins and season-long titles and major championships, I guess. I can't sit here and say that the last 10 seasons haven't been successful because I haven't won a major, but at the same time, I recognize that, whenever all is said and done, I'm going to be judged on those tournaments a lot, hopefully amongst other things as well. But winning is always good, and the more wins you can get, the better.
How about here to PGA Tour Entertainment?
Yeah, Chris Brees, PGA Tour. On the note of course difficulty, they gave you guys a break, quote, making 10 a par 5. Some guys laughed at it, saying it doesn't matter. Is it simply just you're one score better to par? What's your thought on the giving you a break?
It's a perception thing. Like, if whether someone shoots 11 under to win or 15 under to win, you're still having to get round in 269 shots over 4 days. So it's a complete perception thing. Par is irrelevant in my eyes.
Tom?
Rory, I'm wondering the last time you spoke to Chubby Chandler, and what do you think motivated him to say what he said, other than making headlines?
I think he's writing a book, so there is that. I spoke to Chubby. I might have saw him in the Middle East actually at the start of the year. So you never know. He might know a few things. Who knows?
Well, he started by saying there's a good chance you'd go to live, and then at the end it was 10%. So is there a percentage that he
Somewhere
said?
in the middle, maybe. Who knows?
Tom, can you give it to Alan Shipnuck, please?
Rory, does 2012 feel like another lifetime?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, different life. Different life, for sure.
Do you ever reflect on where you are in your career? Like, is this the start of the third quarter? Is this mile 22 of a marathon? I mean, what's the right sports metaphor for where you are in this journey?
I don't know. I said a few years ago that Phil and Tiger were on the back nines of their career, and I got a lot of shit for it. So I don't know if I want to. I would say, I've been a pro. I turned pro in 2007, so was this my 17th year? Another 17, I'll be 51. Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty close to the turn at this point, if not a little bit after. Maybe on the 10th green or 11th tee.
Do you think you can sustain the same hunger for the next 17 years?
No. For the next 17, no. I'd say for the next 10, absolutely. But 17 seems like a stretch.
That's kind of the goal, 10 more good years?
Yeah.
Right,
Or
Karen.
a green jacket and just walk away.
Karen?
That works too.
Karen will go next. Alan, you can give it to Tim.
Rory, I have a two-part trophy question for you. You've collected more trophies as a pro alone than like we have books. So how do you display them? Are you like Tiger, only the major trophies?
That would look a little sad. Just having 4 up there. His 15 look a little better.
Do you do it by the art, how artistic they are? Do you display all of them? Do you need more than one room? How does it work?
I've got a big wall in our sort of entertainment room that has most of the trophies in there. A couple of them I think are sitting in Hollywood Golf Club, which is sort of a nice thing as well, where it all started. But yeah, I sort of try to group them together a little bit. You've got some sterling silver ones, you've got some gold ones, you've got a couple of Wedgwood ones from the WGCs back in the day. You've got some sort of crystal ones. Yeah, you've got a bit of everything, and honestly, it's a bit of a mishmash. It's a bit of a random collection.
And then in this day and age where your first place prize is just more and more significant, meaningful money, it occurred to me that maybe the trophies are passé, like why are they meaningful? But listening to you talk about 2012, I'm wondering if that's the value of them. You can look at them and it takes you back to how you won them. Like for you, what is the meaning of displaying those and having those around?
Yeah, so I know a lot of players give their caddies the flags from the 18th greens, but I like to keep those. So to me, and they're all in my gym, sort of more for motivation. And I go in there and I see all the flags on the wall, and I want to add flags to those walls. And that's sort of like my motivation. The trophies are really cool, and it's great to look at them and see all the names that came before you. Like that's amazing. But just for pure motivation, and I think it's sort of like a double-edged sword. You look at these things, and it's a nice moment to reflect on what you've achieved, but it's also really good motivation in terms of what you still want to do in the game.
We're going to do 2 more Golf Channel, and we'll finish with Associated Press.
What does Harry get for a win if he doesn't get the flag?
10%. No. So Harry actually has, I think he's got in his house framed the 4 shirts that I wore to win the 4 major championships. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's happy enough.
Now, this is kind of inside baseball, but there's a lot of the guys from the Corn Ferry Tour Q School category who aren't in the field this week on their number. About a dozen of them have gotten 3 starts in the first 9 weeks. About a third of the events for the rest of the year are going to be opposite field events with 300 points to the winner. What do you say to guys who are frustrated that they don't feel like they're getting kind of an equal shake at keeping their job at the very least?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's getting. It seems like it's getting more difficult to get your card, and it seems like it's more difficult to keep your card, especially with this sort of tiered system now that we have on tour. But I mean, I understand it, but then you look what Nick Dunlap did at Amex, or you look at what Jake Knapp did last week, or I get that you need the opportunities, but like when you do get those opportunities, you just need to go out there and play well. So it's sort of hard for me to speak to it because I've fortunately never been in that position, but and it's hard to sit here and be like, stay patient, because it's tough, but it's supposed to be tough, I think, is the thing. It's supposed to be competitive, like it's supposed to be cutthroat, and I think that's sort of what we're trying to make the tour is more like that, so that you try to make the most competitive product that you can.
Final question?
Rory, kind of a two-parter about Augusta. I can't say it's next month yet because it's not next month until Friday.
Not
But
quite.
at what point does it start occupying the majority of your headspace when you get to this time of year? And secondly, did you have any reaction to the asterisk comment about that?
So I think for me, I'm going to try to get through this Florida swing here this week, Bay Hill and the Players, and just really focus on those 3 events and try to play well. And then I've got 2 weeks off after the Players, and I think that's when I'll start to turn my attention to, practicing and maybe trying to hit some shots that I might need for that week. And then I'll probably go up to Augusta on the way to San Antonio, play for a couple of days, and yeah. So I think try to do a good job of not thinking about it for these next 3, and then after that it'll be all systems go.
Right.
Oh, and the asterisk. Look, the Masters is an invitational, and they'll invite whoever they think, warrants an invite. And I mean, I think, to be fair to Taylor, I think if you read the entire, like, the question and then the answer, it's not as if he just came out with that. I feel like whoever did the interview sort of led him down that path to say that. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt there a little bit. He basically just agreed with what the interviewer asked. But at the same time, Joaquin Niemann got an invite, and I played with Joaquin in Dubai a few weeks ago, and he went down to Australia and won. He was in Oman last week. He's been chasing his tail around the world to try to get this, either play his way into Augusta or show enough form to warrant an invite. And I don't know if the same can be said for Taylor.
Thank you, Rory. Appreciate you coming, and good luck this week.
Thank you.